Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating intersection of deep spiritual philosophy and rigorous physical health. We're looking at the Thai Chinese dietary practice known as Jai. If you've ever wondered how ancient Mahayana Buddhist practices actually translate into modern ideas about wellness, longevity, and nutrition, well, you are in the exact right place. Let's dive into how mindfulness connects to what we put on our plates every single day. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. Spiritual roots of health. 2. The 120-year lifespan. 3. Defining the Jai diet. 4. The pungent vegetable ban. 5. Nutrition and plant proteins. And 6. The 5 elemental colors. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Spiritual roots of health.
So the source material we're looking at doesn't treat the body and mind as two separate things. They're viewed as one continuous system. This beautiful lotus flower perfectly captures that core philosophy. Maintaining absolute purity in your actions and thoughts is the bedrock of a cruelty-free life. Before we even start counting calories or tracking vitamins, we have to realize our physical health is deeply rooted in our spiritual intentions and ancient ethical guidelines like the precepts and paramitas. And this whole idea really anchors on a profound quote from the Buddha, Aroka Paramalabha. This translates simply to, health is the greatest wealth. It's one of those simple, undeniable truths, right? Because without your health, all the material wealth, money, or status in the world just kind of loses its value. True wellness literally is our ultimate asset, and the text argues we have to protect it diligently through our daily habits. Section 2, the 120-year lifespan. Okay, now here is a really fascinating biological claim from the text. Based on an analysis of human cellular degradation and looking at observations from isolated Russian villages famous for extreme longevity, the natural human lifespan is proposed to be exactly 120 years. That's right, 120. The argument here is that our bodies are biologically engineered to cross the century mark with total ease, provided we don't actively shorten that timeline through poor lifestyle choices. To back up this 120-year hypothesis, the source looks at some pretty stark demographic contrasts. On one side, you've got the Hunza populations. They thrive on a predominantly plant-based diet and boast average lifespans of 90 to 100 years. Contrast that with historical data on highly meat-dependent populations living in extreme environments, like the Eskimos, where the average lifespan plummeted to just 27.5 years. It's a pretty intense comparison, but it's meant to really underscore the profound impact of what we eat every day. So it begs the question, why do most people fall so short of that 120-year potential? Well, the text points to 4 primary lifespan reducers: consuming the wrong foods, taking in environmental and dietary toxins, chronic overwork, and unrelenting emotional stress. There's an ancient proverb highlighted here: disease enters through the mouth. It puts diet at the absolute forefront of disease prevention. Section 3. Defining the Jai diet. So what does eating Jai actually entail? Well, it goes way beyond what we typically think of as standard Western veganism. Often recognized by that distinctive red and yellow symbol, Jai is essentially a holistic purification deeply rooted in the Mahayana Buddhist practice of uposatha. To participate means you're striving for total purity of body, speech, and mind. It's literally an internal fast from negative thoughts, happening right alongside an external fast from certain foods. At its most basic dietary level, the practice explicitly forbids consuming 3 categories of meat: land animals, poultry, and aquatic life. But here's the key. The stated goal isn't just about physical health, it is heavily tied to karma. By abstaining from meat, practitioners are aiming to completely cut off the karma of killing and instead cultivate a deep, universal compassion. Section 4. The pungent vegetable ban. Now this brings us to what is easily one of the most counterintuitive aspects of the Jai diet. It strictly prohibits these 5 pungent plants: garlic, onion, rakio, which is a type of Chinese garlic, Chinese chive, and tobacco. Now, while avoiding tobacco makes obvious sense for health, banning garlic and onions, that usually completely baffles modern nutritionists used to Western standards where those are basically considered superfoods. I mean, it begs a massive question, right? If modern medical science proves that garlic lowers cholesterol and supports heart health, why in the world would a deeply health-conscious spiritual diet completely forbid it? The answer actually lies in how this philosophy categorizes these specific plants. They're viewed as intense medicines, not daily foods. There's a great quote from the text that says, eating them every day is like taking medicine when you don't have a disease. The logic is that consuming these highly stimulating aromatics when you're already healthy overstimulates your internal organs, agitates the mind, and disrupts that delicate spiritual equilibrium you really need for meditation.
Section 5. Nutrition and plant proteins.
All of this naturally brings up a super common critique. Can a diet completely devoid of meat and even common flavor builders, like garlic, actually sustain a robust, healthy body? The source tackles this head-on with a really clear biological fact. Malnutrition stems from failing to eat a balanced spectrum of the 5 food groups, not simply from the absence of meat. A poorly planned meat-eating diet can be just as deficient as a poorly planned vegetarian one. To maintain that critical balance, the text points to a rich array of traditional, high-protein plant products. Things like soy milk, regular tofu, yellow tofu, traditionally fermented soy sauce, and yuba, which is tofu skin. Listen, these are not modern dietary trends. These are ancient, incredibly nutrient-dense staples that have sustained J-eaters for generations. They provide the exact building blocks needed for that 120-year lifespan we were talking about earlier.
Section 6. The 5 elemental colors.
Okay, so how do you actually ensure you're getting all those essential nutrients without meticulously counting macros all day? The text offers this brilliant, highly visual method, mapping the 5 elements directly to the colors of your food. So fire maps to red foods like tomatoes, water maps to black foods like black beans, earth maps to yellow foods like pumpkin, wood maps to green leafy vegetables, and metal maps to white foods like daikon radish. Basically, if you hit all 5 colors on your plate, your internal elemental energies remain perfectly balanced. It's like a visual checklist for health. We've covered some absolutely incredible ground today, from that 120-year human lifespan potential to the medicinal nature of garlic and the brilliant simplicity of the elemental colors. But I want to leave you with this provocative thought to chew on. How might intertwining deep spiritual intent with your daily habits change your own relationship with food? Could viewing your meals as a daily practice in compassion and mindfulness be the missing link in your own health journey? Think about that the next time you sit down to eat. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.